Hi guys, this is Samuel Cook.
And this is Eva Wysocka.
We just finished another event here at Google Campus, and today we want to give you a short summary of the 7 rules of spending money on traffic in a way that you can actually get that money back.
The goal is to make more back, right?
So Samuel is the leader here. I'm going to be maybe adding some stuff here and there. So Samuel, what are these 7 amazing rules?
Well, the 7 steps, and Eva, we had a lot of experience working together on traffic, is the first step is start with a funnel. If you, a lot of people say, well, when are we ready to spend on paid traffic? And actually, Eva has this great story where she actually started her career in a company only that spends money on paid traffic. And my thought process for traffic is you should spend right at the beginning, but way before SEO, way before any of that other investment in free traffic where you pay a staff member or an agency to build this free traffic up, because it's not free. And because paid traffic, you can find out in under $1,000 or 1,000 zloty what's working and what's not, and you can really get some information. So, but before you do that, you need a funnel. And this is what we've been teaching for the past 6 meetups is your buyer persona, develop your funnel map, your strategy, because all of that stuff, once you have it done, makes paid traffic campaigns so much easier.
And once you have this vision for your online funnel, really paid traffic is the fastest way for you to get it tested out. And this is a real value of it, because if you want to wait out until you're going to get this organic traffic to go there and test out your funnel, this is a real waste of your budget that you can provide for yourself. So that's why use paid traffic to speed up the process. And if you're going to fail there, it's better you fail faster than you fail slower, right?
Exactly, and you can find out right at the beginning with paid traffic if you have product market fit, if you're a new startup. And this is so important because I've seen so many companies spend years developing a product and then do an SEO because they don't want to pay Google or pay Facebook, those evil traffic companies, for traffic, but they're going to give you results right away and you can measure it. So the second principle of paid traffic is really determining your traffic source. Does Google work better for you, which Google owns YouTube also, and that's search marketing, or does Facebook work better for you? And Facebook is usually in a social marketing. You need to warm people up a little bit more.
And that means that awareness of that persona might be actually lower. So it opens you to a little bit wider market than just people who search directly for the phrase that is related to your product.
Yeah, so what do you do? I love when people spend money on SEO, but what do you do if no one's looking for your product yet, or if no one knows about your company?
Exactly.
And Facebook's a way where you can educate people and bring people through the entire funnel psychology map. By the time they get to your offer page, they've been warmed up, and that's really what we're talking about for paid traffic.
And it's very interesting because just recently I was working with a client where all his competitors were hitting into a search traffic. So there is still a big group of people who might be interested in your product, but not so much into a search right now. And if your competitors are just focused on Google, for example, if you're going to look at the social channels where they are not right now, this is a great way for you to actually start building your separate piece of the market, like your marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, the low-hanging fruit on any product is typically in a market, only 7 or 8% of the people who are potential customers are actually looking for it. So let everyone else fight over that on Google, and then go do it on Facebook where they're not looking, and some of those people might really be ready to buy. Because in our experience, that's a great way is to warm people up. And also, you have the advantage, if you go through Facebook, of having a funnel when all of your competition, I bet you, is not doing this.
That's how you can just differentiate from others. And that's your power.
The third principle of paid traffic is after cold traffic, you need to pick a primary cold traffic source. And if you do well on one, you can go test the other. But after that, then you need to deal with your warm traffic. And your warm traffic are people who already know you. And this could be people from your customer list, your email list, website visitors, Facebook fans, or people who've just watched your videos on Facebook, which we'll talk about a lot more. And you need to treat them very differently. And then mapping not just ads to those people, but remarketing through every page of your funnel. And this is exactly why we have you build a funnel map, so you can see every page all the way to your objective through the entire funnel psychology flow. The fourth step of paid traffic, this is where after you've done your planning and you've mapped it all out, you need to actually create the ads. And I found that ad creation is really, really hard. and people really get scared of it. They get writer's block because you have so few words to play with sometimes that you get stuck on it. And I have a solution for you. Just do a bunch of ads and test it. And the thing that I like to think about on Facebook is don't try and write perfect copy, is try and write as though you're writing to your friends on Facebook. Like when you put a wall post up, do you get all formal and stress out about the copy? No, you just write. So in Facebook posts, I just sit down, and Ava actually, she'll tell me, hey, write this post for Traffic Conversion Meetup. And I just sit down and try not to think about it. And I obviously try and write well, but just write good stories, good content, and don't be salesy on Facebook. You need to write just like everyone else is and their friends. The more you act like your friends on Facebook, the better your Facebook posts are going to do.
And would you say that it always has to be very short to be performing?
No, and this is one of the things I went over. There's actually 4 types of Facebook posts. And on TC Meetup, if you go look at our pages, we actually like to write some very, very long posts.
It's also because we don't have a blog yet.
Yeah, exactly. We're too lazy to
like
make
hack it
too lazy to make a blog. But what I found in my experience for clients too, and for TC Meetup, is long posts where you educate first, provide value, and then at the very end you put a little link to whatever you want them to do, whether it's like your page or, in our case, we have an ad to our workshop. Those posts actually do better than our short posts because people, they see through that copy that, wow, this person really has a solution to my problem, and then at the end they're much more ready. Now you're going to get less people reading the whole post, but when they do, they're much more qualified. 5th principle of spending money on paid traffic is launching your campaign, and really what launching your campaign about is allocating your budget. Now this is where it gets really counterintuitive. Ava, I'm going to let you talk about this one because I know this is one of your favorite points about allocating budget.
So, the most intuitive way of allocating your budget would be like, well, on this page they're buying, or on this page they're like signing up for my newsletter. Well, if you listen to our previous episodes where we discussed the principle of building effective funnels and the principles of using content to lower down your cost of customer acquisition, you probably have some intuition right now that we are spending a lot of budget on promoting the content, which is usually the first piece that you want your persona, your potential buyer to see. And it goes to such levels where we actually spend more than 50%, sometimes in some campaigns even 90% of our ad budget on promoting the content. Like
free content.
This first free article, this ungated so-called content. So content that you can see, share, and interact with freely without signing up, without buying anything, without even liking anything. And once you're going to spend on that, promoting that content, then it opens up these amazing opportunities of retargeting to all these people who went into interaction with this content.
And I like to say that your ideal persona is plus engagement. So if you go on Facebook and you really know your ideal persona and you just put your ads in front of people who already know, like, and trust you, or cold traffic that matches that same profile, plus engagement, meaning they raise their hand, they read your content, they watch your video, then that right there are the only people you want to be advertising to.
Exactly.
Nobody else, because why would you waste your money on ads to people who haven't shown that they're
ready?
ready?
It's already a natural selection. So a lot of companies who come to us, they have these problems with making sure their persona is really the right one. So we can lead you to some point to build your persona well, but after that, your content will do selection process for you. And this is why you're doing it.
And the beautiful part about Facebook, you've constructed your persona at the beginning, and Facebook's going to confirm or maybe help you adjust it. Maybe your age group was wrong. Maybe your male or female might not be working as well as you thought. But it's really going to help you confirm what's working. I love testing personas with Facebook.
Actually, this doesn't work just with Facebook. Actually, exactly same principles are working when it comes to YouTube advertising. And the beauty is that if you create a very good campaign, it can work actually on both channels. Okay,
so the 6th principle of spending money on paid traffic is after you launch your campaign, it's time to optimize it. And this is where, whenever I have a disagreement, Ava and I used to always disagree about, well, I think this is going to work, and Ava would always tell me, I think this is going to work. When we were working together, we'd just say, we're going to test it. So with my clients right now, same thing with my team. When I go back to them and they say, hey, I have this idea, it's different than yours, I don't care. I don't have to be right. I just say, fine, let's test it. So if you have a different headline that you can't agree on, make 3 or 4 versions. If you have different ad copy, you can test short copy versus medium copy versus really, really long copy. on your Facebook post and see which one works. And here's the beautiful part. Add Espresso, this tool that I use,
I just wanted to ask about it too.
Add Espresso will tell you, and you can split test. And I create these campaigns where I test 3 versions of the headline, the graphic, and everything else. And I have like 100 different variations, and Add Espresso on Facebook will tell me which one's working. And sometimes I see like a 2 or 3 times difference, 300% difference in my ad results. And I just turn off all the ones that are not working. And then when you figure that out, the next thing you can do is you can go to age groups, age group, sex, male or female, location, and you can do the same thing and test all these different combinations, and you can cut down the age groups that aren't responding to your offer. And a lot of times 10 years makes a huge difference in a product. And I've seen this on Facebook where 25 to 34-year-olds might be twice as expensive or twice as more lucrative as the age group below or above them. And you'll just see this when you test it. And you'll never know until you actually put out the campaign. The 7th principle of paid traffic is scaling the campaign. Now, when you get something that works, this is where I'm going to let Ava talk about scaling and the numbers behind scaling, because I love to scale. And first of all, let me let her talk about numbers here.
Well, guys, everyone loves scaling, but as we've spoken about a few episodes before, you want to first make sure that your numbers are helping you to build a sustainable business. And what does it mean? That means that you should be heading for achieving an equation where your customer lifetime value is bigger than 3 times your customer acquisition cost. I'm not saying you can never scale until this is working for you, but if you're really far from that, like if your lifetime value equals your customer acquisition cost, please don't go and don't scale your campaign, because you're just going to spend a lot of cash on traffic, and you have a lot of fundamental work to do instead of doing that.
Yeah,
just go back and review your funnel.
If you're not at that magic point, and by the way, this is what investors look for. We learned this at one of our workshops. An investor attended our last workshop, and when this slide came up, he said, this is the most important thing at the workshop. He hadn't said a word until then. And he said, if you can get to the point where your lifetime value is 3 times greater than your customer acquisition cost, call me and I'll invest in your business. And so that's really how you should be thinking about paid traffic as an investment. So if you're not there, next week, don't worry, we're going to talk about how to optimize your site so that you can get your customer acquisition cost down. But until then, what you want to do is you really want to look at other traffic sources. And when you've got that magical point where you think you can scale, before you go out and just double your budget on Facebook, which logically makes sense, right? Well, that's not going to work nearly as well as if you go try all the different channels that are out there. So go add Instagram. Use Google banner ad remarketing. If your funnel's converting, you should be hitting your clients on every single medium. If they see you on Facebook, it doesn't mean they don't go to other websites where they're going to see Google banner ads. It doesn't mean they don't go to YouTube. So meet them there so that you have this effect that everywhere they go, they see your ads exactly where they know they should be. And statistics say this, that a typical customer sees so many ad impressions these days, they need to see you 15 to 21 times in order to be different touch points between email ads and all kinds of other stuff to make a decision. So don't be afraid to use multiple channels. That's the first way we recommend scaling, is work from the back of the funnel and remarket the whole way through, because we found that remarketing can be 3 times as lucrative as spending on the front of the funnel once you have people in there. And then if you've got Facebook as a cold traffic source, and then you've got remarketing set up on all the channels, then go try Google and YouTube and do exactly what was working on Facebook in Google and YouTube, or vice versa. And then after that, start pumping up the budget in each one, but go slowly. Do your budget slowly each week. Let the algorithm, Facebook and Google, yeah, and I say this from experience, the algorithm needs time to adjust. Every time you put up your budget, every 3 or 4 days, you want to put it up 20, 30%, very, very conservatively, because as you scale and increase your budget, I guarantee you your results won't be as good as that initial first spot. And if you're doing well in your warm traffic, it doesn't mean that cold traffic is going to replicate it, especially when you scale.
So I think that's it, guys, and please look for our next videos and look for our next meetup. And if you found this interesting, you have some questions, please feel free to post them below this video.
Yeah, and like this video, share it with your friends, And really looking forward to seeing you at the next meetup where we talk about optimization, because whether or not you are at the point where you could scale or you need to get to the point where you can scale, optimization is really going to be the secret that most marketers never ever get to or pay attention to. And this is what really sets people apart. That's why we saved it till the end.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.